kids grow up and develop quickly, it's important to recognize any potential health concerns.
That's right. Well, Dr. Chad Shaw is a chiropractor with Shaw Chiropractic. Dr. Shaw, so many parents now, their kids are getting screened at schools. I remember when I was in elementary school.
Oh, yeah, I did
we
too.
all got, so it's been around a long time. I didn't realize scoliosis was still such an issue and it was such a concern for parents.
It's as big an issue now as it ever has been. And a couple weeks ago, my 6th grade daughter brought home a permission slip to get checked for scoliosis. And you know, I think when I was in school, maybe when you were too, they just did it
in gym
without
class.
permission.
Right,
Yeah.
you had to bend over, touch your toes, and then they put something on your back to measure the curvature of your spine.
Right, and so now yeah, I think parents have to give permission because they have to do that with a lot of things. And you know, as a chiropractor, I want to encourage patients to or parents to allow their kids to be checked because it's so important to catch that early.
And why is that? Why is it so important that we're catching this when they're in grade school before they grow up too far? I mean, too long. I mean, you have to make sure that you can correct this early.
You know, the sooner that we can catch it, the better. You know, I'd much rather assess a child or have my child have a 5-degree curve as opposed to a 15-degree curve. And sometimes they develop these abnormal curvatures in their spine, and the more proactive we can be. You know, I tell parents, don't panic if your child has a note from the scoliosis screening saying you've got scoliosis. Be proactive. The watch and wait type of approach, that's not acceptable to me. We don't do that in our office. You know, we take a proactive approach to help these kids and help straighten out their...
So yeah, curvature of the spine, that's pretty much all I know about scoliosis. So why is it such a concern? What can happen throughout a person's life if it's not diagnosed and treated?
Well, posture is important. I mean, you guys have great posture. And it's
Sitting on pillows.
Okay.
And every time you say posture, I stand up a little straighter.
Yeah.
Every time I walk in a room, everybody straightens up. Posture is important. It affects attitude. It affects ability to think. It affects your breathing. It affects the way you look. It affects your health. Amy Cuddy has a very popular TED Talk.
Is this the Superman thing?
Yes.
Yes.
And
I've tried this. It does work. Sorry. Well, you have
So-
no idea what I'm
all right,
talking
so-
about. You go.
Elaborate, Dr.
Yeah.
Shaw.
Oh, I will elaborate. The TED Talk she has talks about how posture actually affects perceptions. It actually affects how people perceive you. We stereotype based upon posture. And so if you're going in for a job interview, it's extremely important. But the other thing that she noted in her research was that it actually changes hormone levels. And so when you have good posture, you elevate testosterone, which helps you become more of a leader. It improves your decision making, but it confidence, risk taking, but it also decreases your cortisol level. And so when we think about scoliosis screenings and the stress points that are created by the curves, sure, there's something to do with back pain and deformity, but really it has a huge effect on your entire scope of your life.
So if the kids are not getting screened at school, or the parents don't see the permission slip, and you know maybe it's in the kid's bag and that never happens, are there things that parents can notice on their kids to see if they are suffering from scoliosis? Can they see it with the naked eye?
Absolutely. And if we just are aware about our kids, you know, when we start from the top down, we look at the head. Is there a tilt? Do they turn their head? Are their shoulders out of position? You know, is one shoulder higher than the other? Do they, you know, an interesting one is if you look at their hands, do both the hands match up? Does one turn in and the other one go straight?
I'm doing all this checks right now.
I'm doing it with you.
Yeah, you are. We were trying to figure each other out.
Well, my next question though is, what if you're an adult who's never been diagnosed as a child, and you're like Casey, and you're double checking yourself here? Is there anything you can do at this point in your life?
Yeah, obviously it's better to catch you young, but for sure, as we take care of adults, what we typically see is early breakdown. We see breakdown of the disc tissues. We see sprains and strains and wear down of the bones. And so we want to do whatever we can to correct that posture, even if you're an adult. And adults have 2 factors that cause the scoliosis. Number one is if it didn't get corrected when they're an adolescent, but also, you know, like I have police officers that are sitting in their car 6 hours a day on their computer. So jobs that you do, repetitive strains and repetitive postures.
Yeah, and how many people do you see come into your office who are hunched over at the computer, you know, day after day? And
text neck. I mean, it's a real thing. I see kids coming in and they have their head down and they're doing this. And there was another study done in relation to that. Every inch forward that your head is carried, it has a direct correlation with your health, and not just neck pain and headaches and low back pain, but overall general health. So
Wow.
posture is super important, and these screenings are very important. And if your children aren't being screened at school, my office, and I'm sure a lot of chiropractic offices around the city would be, feel free to come in and
Yeah.
get a free screening.
And why not? Because if you can catch it early, make sure the kids are okay, you can rectify it and make sure that they're, no pun intended, make sure that they're good to go going forward.
We got to do everything we can for the kiddos.
Dr. Shaw, it's always good to see you,
Yeah.
sir. We appreciate you. And
Thank
thank you to Shaw Chiropractic for sponsoring the segment. And to get more information, you can do so by visiting shawchirojax.com. The website is on your screen. So is the phone number, 904-997-1349.